Hi, all. I'm Cullen Haynes, and welcome to Live with Cullen Haynes, LawLive, episode 69. Absolutely crazy how we're up to this episode already. And the next guest I'm bringing on is an absolute powerhouse and true gem of the profession. Almost been in the legal realm for up to 15 years. Was a barrister, now a leading mediator and coach. Can you please make very welcome the one, the only Louise Mathias? How are we, Louise? Joining?
Hi, Cullen.
Where are we joining from today?
Thank you.
Good to see you. Where are we joining from today?
I'm in Sydney, so not too far.
Not too far. Fantastic. Yeah. And I would love to ask you, because everyone's probably wondering, what is happening in your world at the moment?
Well, in my world at the moment, I'm busy preparing for a masterclass that's coming up and that I have running regularly called Lawyer to Trusted Leader. So it's about helping lawyers get the skills to become a trusted leader. I'm still a barrister, so I'm still doing mediations and so I'm keeping busy in, the two different arms of my business.
Fantastic. So great. Aren't lawyers already given leaders already, or they need a little bit of work on that?
Who am I to judge? But there's a mindset in law and in many professions that, leadership is once you get promoted. So that's one of the things that needs to be shifted.
Makes sense. Well, look, you do so many things. You wear so many hats. Maybe you could tell us what, like, your life in just film titles. How would you do that?
We'd be here for 6 days.
Yes, of course.
Let's give it as you said, film titles. I'll take it back to the start of law.
Yes.
Before law, obviously, I had a career outside of law, did many things. But when I remember when I came into law, and I was sitting in Sydney University Law School auditorium with about 500 aspiring law students, and the speaker said, look to your right and look to your left, 50% of you will not complete this course. And I wanted a career change. And at that time, those beliefs as to, could I do this? Is a huge change from being a specialist medical practice manager to become a lawyer. Would it be too hard? Did I have the capability? And then I realised that I'd learned a leadership lesson because I'd been learning leadership since I was 18, that uncertainty and fear doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means that you're accessing a higher level. But I had to take that bold step. And so I applied those leadership skills into my studies. And then when I got into law, they were, I was faced with a whole new different set of challenges. Still the same questions came up. Would people trust me? I didn't have very much experience or knowledge when I first became a barrister. Would people lead? Would they follow my lead? Would they trust me with their clients? If I made a mistake, would they not brief me anymore? Would my business fail? All those kind of things. So it's those leadership skills that I continue to apply. And then I got a curveball 2 years after becoming a barrister, where I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I had to take a year away from the bar. And it was only when I came back that I realised how much more resilient and clear I was in the difference that I really wanted to make. And that was those leadership skills really gave me the ability to build a practice from absolutely zero, having no connections in law and doing it twice. So it's been a decade's, practice and developing and whatever the skills that I've needed that have gotten me to here. Continually changing.
Absolutely. Harrowing what you've been through there, Louise, and obviously amazing that you've not only survived but thrived in all that, because now not only are you leading barrister mediator, but you're also a coach helping lawyers and professionals as well, right? I'd love to know, where did that germ of an idea come from? Where did your interest in being that coach and helping others lead and whatnot, where did that come from?
Well, because I'd worked in lots of different industries, so I came with a very different set of eyes in professions when I came into law. And I could see in law how they were very perfectionist-driven. I've been in medicine, yes, perfectionist-driven, yes, but in law, really perfectionist-driven. And, I understand the skills that you need to be a lawyer. You need to be analytical and detailed and spot flaws and control risks and all that, be competitive, independent, whatever.
Of course.
But they do that, lawyers do that really well, but on the other hand, they struggle with handling difficult clients or demanding clients in the relationships with clients, or they don't know how to build a high-performing team or create authentic connection with people. They don't know how to, and I'm talking in generalities here, they don't know how to communicate in a way that influences. They often use position or aggression or control, or rely on legal arguments alone when they're in mediations or with counterparts. And that really does create resentment and distrust, or internally, many of them are second guessing themselves or overthinking, and many do not have a work-life balance. And I thought, that's when I came back to the bar after having a year off, that was my ultimate goal, this is where I felt like I could make the most significant difference, because I still am in law, but I know what makes lawyers and legal professionals tick. And I can see the gap between the legal skills that they have that drive them to be, high achievers in law, but it's not making them become trusted leaders. That's a huge gap there. And that's what's working against them to be their most effective, to have, the results that they want, and to live the life that they really want. Because we're not taught those skills at law school. We're not taught those skills in practice. And they're needed more than ever in this AI age. Legal skills won't cut it anymore.
No, that's a good point. And I'd love to ask you, is imposter syndrome something you come across and deal with, that fear of success? Are they going to know that I don't know everything? Like, even with your colleagues and whatnot, is that something you see again and again?
I think it's a common thread. They say, the statistics show, I think it's between 70 and 80% of lawyers have imposter syndrome. And so no matter the amount of success that they do have, their internal workings do not help them to be the leaders that they need to lead in themselves. And when you can lead yourself, you can then lead others.
That's a good point, actually. It really is. And in terms of people tuning in, obviously we're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, X, and the good old talk. Please put your questions. I'll do my best to see them because we only get to speak to Louise, this behemoth, once every so often. So we want to get the most out of it. So any burning questions that you have, any comments, queries, or concerns, put them in the comments and we'll be sure to shout them out. Now, what is one surprising skill, Louise, that has helped you in your career thus far?
I think having the ability to continually be very clear on what I needed to learn. So okay. I was never happy. Like, for example, I was a practice manager.
Yes.
I started off as just a secretary, and then I learned the skills over time to become it's the same in law. I was never happy just to stay stuck or to look at what everybody else around me is doing and go, well, that's just the way it is. I wanted to create my own path and learn how that was possible to be able to create my own path. So learning and putting myself out of my comfort zone was probably the biggest thing that has gotten me to where I am today.
I love that. And I know we shared it offline. What does it mean to be a recovering perfectionist? Because a lot of legal professionals are perfectionists, but can you get over it? And do you still have challenges being a recovering perfectionist?
What's a recovering perfectionist? Well, first you have to be aware that you're a perfectionist and what are the thought processes that go to perfection, because if you're not aware, it's very hard to overcome it. And it is something that, in my belief, at least anyway, that, I've been aware of it my whole life, that I don't know that you ever become 100% non-perfectionist. I would say I'm 95% non-perfectionist now. There's only a few areas. But yes, you can overcome it, but you first need to be aware of it. And, most people in law, I would be so bold as to say, are perfectionist driven.
Yes, of course.
And they want to look perfect. They wear a mask of, I'm the perfect lawyer, the perfect barrister. I have to speak perfectly. I have to speak like a lawyer and a barrister. I have to deliver perfectly. And it's very difficult for them to be authentic, because they're worried, if they're going to be criticised, or to say I made a mistake, or it's not safe for them in a lot of circumstances to say I don't know, or I made that mistake. Can't ask for help because that looks like they're weak. So they focus on their technical expertise and their legal strategy and their wins, thinking if I do that perfectly, well, then that shows that I'm good at being a lawyer. But that's not who they are. Take all that away. Take all that perfectionist mask away. Who are they really? And they're people who are scared of making mistakes.
Yeah, yeah. Do you find that we talk about this shift, a very, very general shift that lawyers have to undergo to be that leader? Is it one size fits all, or is it very different things that people need to work on to get to that level or take themselves to another level?
Well, it's a mindset shift. So it's being aware of the thought processes that go into creating the obstacles that affect, and when we're talking about perfectionism, it affects their relationship with themselves. If they're perfect driven with themselves, they'll expect perfection of others. So it affects their relationships, it affects their productivity, affects their profits. So it's a mindset shift, knowing what patterns are going on, what the inner talk is that is happening inside, and knowing how to shift that, change that to create more healthier and realistic ways of thinking.
No. Well, on that note, keeping the same sort of train of thought, like, with stress and everything going on and, being so focused, how do you unwind after a particularly tough day, whether it's in a court or a mediation or otherwise, Louise?
How do I unwind? I go to bed. I like quiet to unwind. So where there is somewhere quiet, I can maybe, have a glass of wine, something that I enjoy eating, and really just spend some time to think about the day. How can I learn? What did I learn from the day? How can I improve next time? Not beat myself up if I said the wrong thing or made a mistake, and really just reflect on the day as to what I can learn and do better next time. But it's about creating that quiet space and giving myself that time.
It's a good point.
Not always being on the go and then using that time to berate ourselves, but what can we learn from that experience?
Yeah, I'm endeared by what you're saying there, Louise, because I heard somewhere that your email inbox is a to-do list that others have made you. So we can get in the habit of not actually carving out that deep work. One of my friend and coach, Andy Fell, calls it Mozart time. Mozart created these beautiful pieces, but he probably didn't do that by always performing and always do it. You need that quiet time.
Yeah, we do.
Correct. And whether it's maybe booking out your calendar so no one books in meetings before 10:30, or maybe you book out 2 p.m. onwards. I don't know what it is. Like, what are some of the gems that you find that help people get to that quiet time for them?
Well, I'm a firm believer in what we don't put in our calendar is not really important. So we have to be the masters of our own calendar. So it's, for example, if you know that you've got meetings with clients that are challenging or solicitors or whatever, and go through your week. Find out which ones are the ones that you're going to find easy. Find out the ones that are going to be more challenging. After the challenging ones, put 15 minutes in the calendar afterwards to give yourself time to debrief, to go through it. What emotions arose? How can you deal with those emotions next time? Did you get angry? Did you, just dismiss someone? How can I deal with that situation better next time? So it's about blocking your calendar to re-energize yourself for what lays ahead during the day as well. So it's not only having a calendar, okay, what are the goals in a month or 2 months or a year goals, but it's really looking at our days, because if we can't manage our days, we can't manage teams, we can't manage our lives and so forth.
It's like that, very, very much that old adage, especially during COVID, put your own mask on first, right?
Yeah.
How can you help anyone else?
Yeah, true. And that's where leadership starts, is with ourselves.
It really does. And I'd like to ask you if you can share, are there any, Mozart work, deep work projects that you're working on right now that, you're utilizing that special time just to create or bring into the world? Like, what's on the go for you now?
As I mentioned at the top of the show, the masterclass, it's taken quite a bit of work for me, and to be able to block that out, and then following the the masterclass that I'll be delivering. There'll be other work that will be required in creating a course for people. So it's a continuation of, because it's busy work as well, but it's about fitting it all in so that I can have that balance in my life. So it's not just all work, it's being able to use think time to be able to slow down, take a breath, show gratitude, all those kind of things.
It's that
So it's not
attitude
just
of gratitude, isn't it?
Yeah, because we can go through life and not be grateful for what we've got. We've got to be really, that will help with stress. We'll be grateful for what we've got as well.
No, I love that.
Mm.
That's important. And where, like, I know we talked about AI, you touched on it at the start and whatnot. Where do you see the legal profession in 10 years, Louise, in your opinion?
Well, I think that I know that lawyers are starting to take up AI much more, but I use AI daily and I can see the changes in the last 12 months. It's only going to get better in reviewing, summarizing, drafting, all those kind of skill sets that it's going to have, which is going to make law a different beast when it comes to offering services, in my view, at least anyway. Those, they've done a study at Southampton University, and they have said from that study that even now clients trust AI legal advice more than they do human advice, even like lawyer advice, even when they know it's from AI. So, there's costs and ramifications for law firms going further. So it's not just about the legal skills and offering okay, this is my service, this is my expertise as a technical expert, as a lawyer, because that's the entry level to law. We've all got to be technical experts. What's the value that lawyers can bring apart from their legal skills that can't be replicated by AI? And that's where I think that it's going to be a shift in the way that law is practiced.
So do you think that AI will replace lawyers? That's the big thing at the moment.
I don't, because humans still want to speak to humans. Humans still want to interact with humans. They want to feel like they're seen, heard, and that they matter, and that the person they're talking to listens to them and thinks that they matter. So you can't get that from, AI. But the technical skills, yes, I think they will be a lot more automated. Are lawyers going to go out of business? No, I don't think they will. But the skills that they need are the ones that are going to be premium for lawyers going forward.
Okay. And you say you use AI a lot in your day-to-day. Can you let us look under the hood? What kind of things are you using, the tools? Is it ChatGPT? Is it otherwise?
Sorry, Cullen.
You go ahead.
So I use ChatGPT, I use Claude AI as well. I think they've both got different pluses and minuses. I use it mainly for social media, for doing posts on, and I don't use it as cut and paste and on it goes, but it's a foundation. I use it as a foundation in social media posts and things like that. Or scripts that I use on, Instagram lives, etc.
It's look, I tell people it cuts down the time that you have to do that thought, right? Like if you've got a post that you want to do on LinkedIn or anything like that, just put in the dot points that you want to say, and eventually it starts learning how you speak, how you interact. And I use it, like, even in preparing for this, putting the questions together, putting the bio of someone. It's very helpful. Taking the bio from someone's webpage and putting it in your own words and making it a little bit entertaining.
Yeah.
So, even like emails, obviously anonymous, of course, but like replying back to a salty email or whatnot in a tactful way.
Yeah,
AI takes out all that thought, and and you're like, oh, that's a great way to say it. I might do it that way.
Yeah, I agree. No, it's becoming more and more useful.
It is. But I will say it doesn't beat thought. I was at a presentation at Alistair Marshall's legal services and lawyers event the other day at Macquarie. And someone said, we've got an ultimatum in our team. Before you do anything, think how you can put it through AI. And it's like, you know, that's good and bad in a way, because you also want people to think. You don't want them to always be like, especially millennials. I've noticed that millennials have it open and just like everything's in there. What do I put into Google to actually get the best search result? I think that's taken it to the nth extreme. And I think we also need to encourage that thought as well. I'm pretty sure you'd be of the same opinion.
Yeah, it's a tool.
It is.
It's not to replace us. Yeah.
No, not to replace. It's to enhance, right?
Yeah, correct.
It's to enhance. I wonder if you can tell us this in your barrister or mediation experience or coaching experience. What's the most unusual client request you've ever come across in your career so far?
Oh, that's a request.
A request or something that notable or funny that's happened to you that you're like, oh, you know, only in my life would that ever happen.
They're pretty serious with me, I have to admit.
Oh, I bet they are.
I don't know. I could tell a funny story, but I don't know whether there's a request in there. Just as an example as to what can happen in a mediation, and happens more often than not, is, you know, obviously two lawyers, both clients, mediation room, one lawyer with his client leans across the table and launches at the client on the other side. Like really launches at the client on the other side. I'd already had pre-mediations with them to set the ground rules. They actually helped me set the ground rules, so there was contribution in how the mediation was going to be.
Yes.
And this lawyer, with 30 years of legal experience, exhibited his control in this way. Not really funny. I mean, it changed the whole dynamics of the mediation, but it made me realize I hadn't set a boundary early enough as to how clients could interact, how lawyers could interact with clients on the other side. So I learned from that. But it was thankful that the lawyer on the other side had the wherefore, had some leadership skills, took his client out, came back in, and because the client reacted, and I could understand why he reacted, but he reacted to this onslaught, and he came back in, not apologising for what was said, but apologising for the way that it was said. And that really turned the media. And I thought, wow, that is such a good example of how somebody with those kind of skills can turn the whole mediation around. And so that was just I hadn't seen that before. And that at that time, 14 years of mediation, I'd never seen that happen before. So that was a new thing, and it made me realise I missed something right at the start as to what the boundaries were.
Yeah, amazing that someone has the self-awareness to do that, even though they had a mea culpa moment, but recovering and saying, look, I apologize for the content, but I apologize for the way it was delivered. And I think shout out to them, because it takes, you know, we need more people to be able to own up to that, right?
Well, not the guy who did it. He didn't. He did, but it was the other guy. That was the other lawyer on the other side, yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, still, like, I think Marcus Aurelius in the meditation said, today you are going to come across people that aggravate you, insult you, belittle you, and you've just got to realize that that's on them. It's like if someone gives you a gift and you don't accept it, whose gift is it, really? Like, I think we definitely need to take that on board now. It's a very interesting story. Well done there, Louise. But like, if we look back in your life, has there been someone who's been a mentor figure of sorts that's helped you get to where you are today?
That went out then, Cullen. I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Oh, is there any mentors in your life that have helped you get to where you are today?
I have always sought help to be trained, to be, even as a younger person. And I'll tell you why, because, and I learned this very early on, from 18 till 32, I was very interested in building knowledge about leadership, knowledge about, personalities and how to resolve conflict, and build that knowledge bank, but nothing much changed. And then I actually asked somebody for help. Everything changed. So I've always, throughout my life from my early 30s, a couple of years ago,
Yeah,
Just
it's only 2 or 3 years ago, surely.
yeah, it's got, yeah, 3 years, and I've learned a lot in those 3 years. That you can do it alone, but it will take a long time, if ever, to do it alone. But when you have somebody to show you the way, to learn from their mistakes so you don't have to make those same mistakes, it's huge. I don't get coached as in a personal coach, but I get business coach now and have for a very long time. So I'm always into getting other people to help and to so that I can be the best that I can be in any given situation in my life.
I love that. I love it how you're helping others, but you still have people that can coach you, right, to be the best that you can be.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah, because I ran businesses, but when you're an entrepreneur or a barrister with your own business and that's not my skill set. So I've had to learn all those kind of things. So yeah, I need to get people on board. Yeah.
On board. I love that. And you can be as pointed as you like with this next question. Switching gears a little bit, Louise, what would you like to see change in law? If you could change one thing, what would it be?
I would like to see a happier, more confident, more authentic relationship-driven profession, where people actually weren't forced into or didn't feel the pressure to be always on, to be perfect, that they actually took the time to design their lives and design their businesses and design their careers. And I'd love to see people a lot happier than from my experience that I've seen. So focused on their careers and the rest of their lives fall into disarray. External success, everyone looks at them as to, wow, how successful they are. But underneath that, a lot of them are close to breaking. And I want to see a much more confident, courageous, happier profession because they've got skills to create that.
Why don't wait? Like just a little follow-on question. I think that's amazing. Why don't you think we're there yet, Louise? What do you think? What's stopping us?
Because this is about the shift, because people are still stuck in perfectionism. I'm too busy. I'm not a leader until I've got a role. It's my law firm. They don't take responsibility. They think I've got to fit in and conform to whatever is dished up instead of being the confident people that they can be. It's just actually buried under survival. That they need to make that shift to, and if everybody looks like they're living the dream, but when you dig a little bit below the surface, you realize they're not living the dream, they're just surviving, and just that, many of them.
It's a good point. I remember I heard somewhere, I can't remember, it might have been a talk that was being given, I think it was Jay Shetty or Tony Robbins, but it's like the biggest problem in life is that it's what we think that others think about us, about what we think about ourselves, but it's actually an illusion, right? And what you're saying about the people that you think are the most put together, like they're burst, like they're probably breaking under the seams, but you wouldn't know it, right? Because of that mask that you talked about before.
Correct.
Oh,
correct.
My goodness. No.
And it can happen. They can do it.
They can do it, of course.
Yeah, they can do it. Yeah.
But what's the biggest lesson to young professionals, young lawyers, young accountants, young anyone watching our stream today or rewatching, as it will be rebroadcast very soon? What's one lesson that you'd like them to walk away with if they're starting their career and watching right now?
Be very, very clear on what success means to you. Don't get pulled into what everybody else's definition of success is, because you're going to be working really hard to find success. But if you don't know what success is, you're going to be working really hard for somebody else's idea of success. So have clarity. What sort of career do you want? What sort of life do you want? What sort of relationships do you want? How do you want to use your time? And a lot of young lawyers, and I'm sure it's the same in most of the professions, they feel like they've got to, do the long hours and not be the first to leave the office and, to get up that career ladder. But you need to be really clear on what it is that success means to you so that you can work hard and get where you want to get, wherever that may be. That. And know at the end that you're going to be happy and satisfied.
I think that's some gems to get to the end of our stream. I think that's amazing, Louise. And maybe this is a little bit more maybe a bit morbid, but I find it actually a very cathartic type question. When all is said and done, you reach the end of your life. How would you like to be remembered one day there, Louise?
Courageous, authentic, and somebody who made a real difference.
Oh my goodness. And you're already doing those three things. That's amazing. That's amazing. So thank you for being on the show today there, Louise. Where can people find you? Where are you hanging out the most?
Well, you can go to my website, which is my name.
Yes.
Or, follow me on LinkedIn. And if you need more information about the webinar, go to my website. You'll find it there and you can register there as well. So, yeah. Yep, that's it exactly.
Perfect. Go and see Louise's website, make some changes in your life and just get in contact. See where that conversation goes. We're going to bring you back for some bonus questions, Louise, just after these short words. Thank you so much.
Right.
So if you are a legend of law or know someone who is and would like to be on the LawLive podcast, we've got spots open in 2026 because we're already full for this year. Thank you for tuning in. Sponsored and brought to you by Legal Home Loans, Australia's only mortgage broking service for lawyers and number one in Australia. And of course, if you want to master LinkedIn, feel free to grab my new book, The Laws of LinkedIn, 23 Laws to Attract Your Ideal Clients, Build a Loyal Following, and Scale Your Income to 7 figures. We built our business on LinkedIn back in the day. And anyone who wants to know the hacks, feel free to get onto that book. It's now out on Audible too. But nonetheless, thank you so much for tuning in today, everyone. All the best. Take care. Bringing back Louise for some bonus questions. How would you explain your role in law to a 6-year-old child, Louise?
Hard.
Hard. I love that. It's hard.
My role as a barrister mediator, do you mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I help people resolve conflicts simply.
Simple. Look, if I can understand that, I'm sure a 6-year-old can understand that. I love that. If you have a pet or have had pets in the past, how would they describe you?
Clear but kind. Set boundaries, but I'm kind.
You're clear, and clear is kind as well.
Yeah, exactly right.
I think that's very
Brown.
good. Brene Brown, clear is kind. And going back, you've only been on this earth 32, 33 years. So I know this is hard, but if you could give yourself advice at any age and go back in time, when would you go back in time and what would the advice you'd give yourself be?
I'd go back, like I discussed before, to 18. And I would say, stop building knowledge, start taking more action. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't worry about what people think of you because that's their business. It has nothing to do with me. Just be the best person that you can be. Take action, be an action taker, not just a knowledge builder.
I love that. I love that. And what was I saying before about you already impacting and being authentic and bringing your joy to the world? We've already got Sam Hussein, a dear friend of mine, who said, I can resonate with Louise in this. It is so important to have a fulfilled life. That is a really nice way to end the stream. And thank you so much again for being here, Louise. Thanks, Sam, for that comment. And really appreciate it.
Great to have a chat.
Lovely to have a chat. Bye for now, everyone. Take care. Enjoy your Wednesday afternoon.